All right, round two, confess or defend. Now here's how it's going to work. These videos are persistent. The original one is still there for people that want to answer the question in that form of refinement, maybe because they want to refine it in a different direction. But this round is going to take into account and summarize some of the answers that I think were brought up in the last round, and it becomes the new focus. And I will mention where the people that I think they're from so that those people can rebut or deny or take and say, yeah, I brought that up, but it's not like it's the main thing that's important to me. So one answer in this round of people that have already replied is to change the focus and say, yeah, I said that, but that's not the biggest point to me. It was just because of your question, Piero, for example, and therefore I will bring it in this other direction. Or to clarify or reemphasize. For anybody else, it's a new set of points that can be commented on or added to. Okay, the basic answer for us was that yeah, it's a good thing, but not so fast. There are some caveats. One that we'll talk about is that, of course, it depends on fulfilling a potential to some degree. To some degree, it's a potentially good thing, and it might even be a negative thing if that potential isn't fulfilled. Now, or how it's fulfilled, one might assume. Okay, and also I think it's clear it depends on circumstances. Some people can go online, that communication is bad for them as an individual. They might stoke their suicidal tendency or something. In an individual case, you can think of that. Just as in an individual case, you could construct probably to make it seem more or less obviously positive. Which all that really proves is that it depends on circumstances. But in general, here are the list of ways in which it's a good thing. Keeps the mind sharp. Apropos brought this up. I think a good example of a between terms a student keeps your mind a little bit sharp. Has a good feel to it of being personally good and also good for society. People are keeping their mind sharp, and students are staying on the ball. Um, it has potential. Inmanem was the one really that made this a big point in the contrast that it might just be a big waste of time if the potential isn't fulfilled. I think it's inevitable that the potential is fulfilled in some sense, but not necessarily for any one of us. So, like in Manem wanting something to come exactly from his work may or may not happen. Though I think in a snowballing kind of effect or a butterfly thing, all of us that take part are a part of the end result. But if you want to see a very more obvious and direct result, then that potential may or may not get fulfilled. I think we all agree to some degree that there's an unspent potential in this. People do change their minds and learn with sort of a Heitlo point that it really does happen. I'm fond of saying I've never seen that happen. But I mean people you're arguing with. I could think of some exceptions to that. But certainly there's more viewers and commenters than and readers when it's written, and they are changing their minds and learning as they go along. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I think overall that's a good process. Um, a personal growth. I think we all said this except for in Mendham. I'm not sure. He said in the past that he's not here to learn. He's here to teach other people and get them to wake up. But I think at least implicit even in his replies that there's a personal growth to it. You learn things, and Menheb did say that. So I put him in there, but as a question mark, so as not to be projecting an opinion on there. I was going to change the name of this item, but this think tank res publicus thing, I just think that we're part of the public conversation, and basically what we want to do is get an improved connection and a record we already have the connection out there to the culture, but we want to get a record of the interaction that expresses that connection. And so for example, you plug into the culture in the mass mind, and out comes a position paper. Well, it'll be crap maybe because that's the mass mind. Well, what about this subsection? Okay, the skeptics, boom, the atheists. You know, and I want to have tools where if you log into this tool and do your debating and interacting and conversating there about these kinds of subjects, that the relationships get traced into the database such that the computer then is able to produce these kinds of charts and graphs and descriptions of positions in groups and subgroups and by demographics and for individuals and in every combination that someone would want. All right, I think we all agree that more structure is good, except maybe apropos, but yeah, I probably would agree with that. He's the question mark in this one. But myself, Haithla Day, and Mentam, we all seem to agree fairly passionately. Not that we're going to go do, you don't know what to act on exactly, but we all seem to have very strong opinions that there could be a better structure, software that took better advantage of that structure. Even in the current software, probably better ways we could structure. But then again, we all sort of emphasize on how the software could really be doing some of this stuff, and I believe it is necessary actually. If you just do the math, you need some software to do some of the things that need to be done better. And in Mendham and Heitler Day, they made points that video is better than text, and to hell with text. I actually don't agree with that, but I would not give up video. I think it's a multimedia thing. My discussion tree is fully going to, I intend to have replies that are links to text or other media. You know, you can reply back and forth if somebody wanted to put up a blog and reply to a video. It might be hard to automatically grab it, though it could be done with certain, techniques. But at the very least, somebody can come in and say, "Hey, my blog is a reply to this thing." Boom, or we can make a little control on their blog, a WordPress blog that automatically knows how to make these things linked up. But I definitely wouldn't want to do without video, and I think for philosophy, I have found that it's more effective and a better way to communicate. So for like more pure philosophy, and I think you couldn't do without it. So in that sense, it's better. Um, but text, of course, still has a role, and probably everybody would agree with that as well. Especially apropos, emphasizing still books. So which books are good and somewhat separate thing here than net text as well. They shouldn't be mixed together, but they naturally are a little bit. So that's my summary now. Anybody can reply to this to clarify their position if I mention them by name, or if you just want to answer at this more refined level where the details are more refined, I would invite a reply pointing out that I didn't go into the bad things. And that's right, because none of us really decided to emphasize the bad things. We mentioned a little bit, but we both mostly had at least caveat emptor type. I mean, you're the one coming to it. You should be able to make it a good thing. We had this kind of a general consensus. Somebody should come on and compel a list like this of why it's a bad thing, or just give in to this branch of this debate going in this direction. All right, cheers.